to the podcast. This is Debra Cohen, and I am in America because a lot of people seem to ask me online, where are you from, actually? So, yes, I'm in America in the beautiful land of Florida, and I'd like to talk about Maybasket Day. Maybe some of you remember Maybasket Day or Maypole Day. My aunt Marge, who was my babysitter growing up in Marlborough, Massachusetts. In a lot of ways, she was more like a mother to me than my actual mother. She just had a heart of gold, and she still does. And we talk online on Zoom. Actually, she was my first hula hoop student when she was 80 years young. So this lady's got a lot of spunk, and to honor my Aunt Marge, I'm going to play after I introduce her. I play a segment of her and I talking about the good old days in the 60s. So if you baby boomers are listening, you might enjoy this conversation. So let me start out by introducing the topic. Before social media, before Hallmark, before even trick or treating became mainstay, American neighborhoods once celebrated May 1st with secret flower baskets left on porches and children dancing around ribbon wrapped poles in town squares. So today we revisit two nearly forgotten springtime traditions that once brought communities together across America in the 1950s and 1960s. Maybasket Day and Maypole Day. So if you'd like to learn a little bit or just remember with us, stick around and we'll be right back after this brief message. And again, this is Debra Cohen. I thank you for listening. And I'd like to start out by sharing a little conversation that I had with my dear Aunt Madge, as we say up in New England. Aunt Madge. There is an R in that name, Madge, but up north we say Madge, like park your car in Harvard Yard. Yes, exactly. Yes, you can understand if you are from New England what I'm saying. And hopefully everywhere you can understand. But let me just share a little conversation that gave me the idea to share a little bit about Maybasket Day and Maypole Day with a conversation that I had this week with my Aunt Marge.
I
Right.
know him. Almost Maybasket Day coming up.
Okay. Are you going to ring somebody's doorbell?
They don't do that anymore. You say Happy Maybasket Day. They say, what are you talking about?
Yeah. Or Happy Maypole Day. Yeah.
And Nan used to put a card table up, and like for weeks before, she'd be with the paper cup and the crepe paper making
Yeah.
little
Yes.
things. Then we'd film and run and give them to our friends. They don't know what the hell you're talking about. Say, what?
No.
I know that Maybasket Day. I know it.
Friday is May Day.
Friday.
Maybasket Day.
I know it, right?
That is so cool. Maybe I can make a video of the way how much fun it used to be, making a basket and putting it on your neighbor's door, hanging on the doorknob.
Use pipe cleaner for
Yep.
the handle.
The handle. Yep.
The country store used a couple of years back. You could go down and buy one, but they were like $9 for a basket.
Oh, ridiculous.
And fill it up. They'd be too expensive, but I was surprised. They said, oh my God, they still make May baskets.
I mean, that would be my podcast. I might even do something next Sunday to talk about
Maybasket Day.
Maybasket Day.
It's an old tradition that's gone by the wayside.
Yeah. It would be interesting.
It was cute.
Yeah, I'm glad we lived it. A
if it
time
was a
when
day, yeah, if it was a school day, you go home from school and you'd go up and you know, bring the May baskets to your friends, and
wow, how cool is
ring the
that?
doorbell and run away so they had to guess who brought it. Anyway, it was a cute tradition, but
Yeah.
And indeed, it was a cute tradition. So thank you, Aunt Madge, for jogging my memory about something I really enjoyed doing as a child in the 60s. So, for all of you listening that might not know what we're talking about, let me just share some information. And remember, the purpose of doing this was to generate good cheer and goodwill with your neighbors. And something maybe that we could work on in America today in 2026. So, what was Maybasket Day? Maybasket Day was a charming American spring tradition celebrated on May 1st. Children, especially girls in the 1940s, 50s, and 60s, would create handmade baskets filled with flowers, candy, popcorn, or small treats and secretly hang them on their neighbor's doorknob. Then came the fun part. Bing bong! You rang the doorbell and ran. And yes, I remember doing that with our neighbor next door. If the homeowner caught you before you escaped, tradition said they could kiss you on the cheek. Well, how about that? By the 1950s and early 60s, this was especially popular in small towns across the Midwest and New England. But where did it come from? Did you ever ask yourself that? Where did that tradition come from? The custom actually traces back to ancient European spring festivals, celebrating fertility, flowers, and the return of warmth after winter. But the American version became popular during the late 19th century and early 20th century through churches, women's clubs, schools, and community organizations. Victorian Americans love sentimental seasonal customs, and May baskets fit perfectly into that culture. Why did Americans love that celebration? Well, during the 50s and early 60s, America was highly neighborhood oriented, if you can believe that. I remember the good times in my neighborhood. And of course, what comes to mind when you talk about good neighbor and neighborhood? Won't you be my neighbor? Okay, so during the 50s and 60s, as I mentioned, America was highly neighborhood oriented. There was the front porches, stay at home mothers, children playing outside where it was safe, actually. And the communities were much more tight knit back in those days. May baskets encouraged kindness, creativity, neighborliness, and innocent romance. It was essentially social marketing before the internet. Can you imagine living before the internet? Yes, I was there. Before cell phones? Yes, I was there. Actually, they got introduced when I was in high school in 1972 ish, maybe, when I was driving my Plymouth Valiant to high school every day. And it looked like more like a walkie talkie. It was huge. And maybe it was a walkie talkie. I don't know. I can't remember that part. So, how were the May baskets made? Children often used construction paper, wallpaper scraps, doilies. Remember the doilies? Ribbons, pipe cleaners, and we used crepe paper. Flowers were commonly in the basket, such as violets, my Nana's lilacs. I love Nana's lilacs. They were so fragrant out in front of her house. And the forsythia bushes, don't forget those. Daisies. Ah, yes, my aunt loves daisies. And tulips. Okay. What do you think of when you say tulips from that era? Tiptoe through the tulips. Doo 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 do. And who was the artist that sang that song? He was a little bit strange, but Tiny Tim. That's right. That's right. That's right. So, why did Maybasket Day disappear? Well, several cultural changes contributed. One, suburban expansion. As neighborhoods became less intimate, people knew fewer neighbors personally. The big one, number two, television. Children then increasingly stayed indoors. Three, another big deal today, safety concerns. By the late 60s and 70s, parents became more cautious about unsupervised children going door to door. And four, cultural shifts. May 1st increasingly became associated in public perception with labor protests, political demonstrations, and anti war activism. The gentle flower basket tradition slowly faded from mainstream American life. Interesting fact. Some elementary schools still quietly preserve Maybasket traditions today, especially in Minnesota. Oh, we have to give a hand clap, don't we? Minnesota. Yes, Minnesota. And Iowa. And don't forget where I come from, parts of New England. Okay, so I'm going to have a little station break about a song I released this past week, and we'll come back and talk about Maypole Day. So stick around.
Oh, say shalom bimroma. Oh, ya say shalom aleinu. Ve'al Israel. Ve'al Israel. Oh, say
Again, this is Debra Cohen, and that's my new song in Hebrew, the song of peace, world peace, actually. Oseh Shalom. We're wishing all the nations peace in the times we have today in 2026, where there's more wars. Will we ever learn? I mean, I remember protesting the wars with Neil Young in was it the 60s or the 70s? With Neil Young. The song was called Ohio, Four Dead in Ohio. Yeah, maybe it was the 70s. Yeah, I think it was the 70s. Yeah, singing the song Ohio. That's when I started to love the bass guitar, I think. Okay, so let's talk about Maypole Day. The maypole, which is something else that we did as children in the 60s in New England, was a tall wooden pole decorated with ribbons, greenery, and flowers. Children danced around it while weaving colorful ribbons in intricate patterns. The result looked almost like a braided tapestry. And where does that come from? Let's talk about the ancient origins. The tradition began in Europe centuries ago, especially in England, Germany, and Scandinavia. Maybe that's why we did it, because on my maternal side of my family, they are from Helsinki, Finland. So let's give a shout out for Finland. I can still remember my great-great-grandmother Mumu teaching me every time we went to visit her. She taught me a word in Finnish. Let's see, Silime nena sua gorvu duki gesaya ganapa. And every time I would say a word correctly, those were the body parts, in case you're wondering, she'd give me a sugar cube. And I couldn't wait to visit her again to get a sugar cube. Oh my gosh. Okay, so let's talk about Maypole Day again. It's celebrated spring fertility, planting season, and renewal of life. Some historians trace it back to pagan spring festivals before Christianity spread throughout Europe. But it arrived in America, which is how I discovered it as a child. European immigrants brought Maypole celebrations to America during the 18th and 19th century. By the early 1900s, Maypole dancing became especially popular in elementary schools, church picnics, and civic festivals. By the 1960s, when I was a teenager, many American schools held annual May Day festivals. Well, yeah, I think I was a tween, actually. I was a tween in the early 60s. It's another term we didn't know in the 60s was a tween, but if you're listening in 2026, you know what a tween is. Children dressed in white dresses, pastel clothing, and flower crowns. Schools often selected a May Queen, a symbolic springtime figure crowned with flowers. I wish I was a May Queen. I never was a May Queen. Music teachers and physical ed instructors coordinated ribbon dances for weeks in advance. For many baby boomers, Maypole Day became a treasured childhood memory. Let me just pause for a moment and remember when. Yes. Java, 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 Java. Java. But it's mushroom Java. I love mushroom coffee. It's better for you than what I used to drink, Starbucks. But I like Starbucks. Why did Maypole traditions fade? Oh, here we go again. Things going away that were actually good. Changing educational priorities. Schools reduced older seasonal pageantry. Oh, not pageantry. Sorry. I guess it was pagan. It was pageantry, wasn't it? It was pagan traditions. I think Maybasket Day, didn't that come from Rome? A Roman festival? Okay, you can look that up if you're a teacher. Okay, so, but actually the word's not pageantry. That was just a slip of my tongue. It's pageantry. Pageantry traditions as curricula modernize. Number two, another reason why Maypole Day faded away, religious concerns. Oh my. Some conservative Christian groups objected to the festival's pagan origins. Number three, another reason Maypole Day faded away was because of urbanization. Open green spaces and community centered festivals became less common. And number four, social changes in the late 1960s. Let's see, when did the Beatles come out with Ed Sullivan? Was that 64? When I'm 64. When the album Meet the Beatles came to America, whoa, I was not interested anymore. After the Beatles came, I was not interested anymore in Maypole Day. I was interested in Paul McCartney. Oh dear. Okay, silly stuff. All right. So, social change, the counterculture era shifted attention away from wholesome civic rituals toward political activism and cultural upheaval, and the Beatles. Yet it never fully vanished. Today, Maypole festivals still survive in some Waldorf schools, historical villages, Scandinavian America communities, and, believe it or not, in folk festivals. I've never been to a folk festival. Have you? No. And in parts of Europe, Maypole dancing remains very much alive. Alive, alive, oh, alive, alive, oh, singing cockles and mussels, alive, alive, oh. I'm just stalling here so I can find a commercial. But okay, well, let me just continue because I updated my eCam and some of the commercials disappeared. Okay. So, this episode reminds us that long ago, before digital culture, Americans created community through simple seasonal rituals, flowers on doorsteps, ribbons in the wind, and children gathering outdoors to celebrate spring. Imagine the good old days. Those were the days, my friend. We wish they'd never end. We'd sing and dance forever and a day. I can't remember the rest of the words, so I'll stop there. So, why these traditions matter today? The lost art of seasonal ritual. Modern Americans often feel disconnected from neighbors, local traditions, even seasonal rhythms. Maybasket Day and Maypole Day created shared identity, intergenerational participation, and face-to-face community interaction, something that's sadly missing in today's communities. So, why these traditions feel nostalgic? Even people who never experienced them often feel emotionally drawn to them because they represent innocence. Yes. Slower living. Slower. Who wants to be slower? You become slower at my age now as a senior citizen, and you're slower because you have to be careful how you move when you're an older person so you don't fall down. I would rather be a weeble. And if you know the commercial about Weebles, you'll know why I'm saying it. Weebles, what comes after Weeble? Weebles wobble, but they don't fall down. I want to be a weebling senior citizen. Okay, I'm being silly anyway. Okay, innocence, slower living, beauty, the beauty of these festive occasions in the neighborhood. They matter. And local connection. Do you communicate with your neighbor and talk about who is that guy that sang, "Won't you be my neighbor"? Can't seem to remember. Could they return? Actually, the answer is yes. In an age of loneliness and digital overload, many communities are reviving craft festivals, community gardens, folk traditions, and neighborhood events. Simple acts like leaving flowers anonymously for a neighbor suddenly feel meaningful again. So let's think about that as we close. Perhaps these forgotten May Day traditions remind us of something America quietly lost along the way. Not just rituals, but neighborliness itself. And with that, I want to thank you for listening. You've been listening to Judeo-Christian America, also known as they call it a brain fart. A Story and a Song. Yes, you've been listening to A Story and a Song with Debra Cohen. If you enjoyed today's journey into forgotten America traditions, share this episode with someone who remembers May baskets or someone who wishes neighborhoods still felt that way. So thank you very much for listening. This is Debra Cohen. Don't forget to check out my music. And of course, you got to spell my name right. My mother gave me a different spelling on my first name, and I've been forever spelling it. When babies were born in the 50s, if they were called Deborah, which was a popular name, it was spelt Deborah. But did you hear me say my name is Deborah? No, I said Debra. Debra. And when I was a child, the teacher would say, "Oh, your name is Deborah." And I'm like, "No, it's Debra, like in zebra." And they thought I was being a wise ass, but pardon me if any children are listening. But teachers need to say children's names correctly. Now, don't let me get on a roll. As a former ESOL teacher, ESOL, teachers couldn't say, in general, teachers couldn't pronounce a lot of the names of foreigners, so they'd change them to an American name that sounded close. I'm like, why are you doing that to why are you doing that to children? Don't do that. Take the time. And it's never mind, I'm not going to get on a roll. We want to end with a smile. So don't forget to check out my music, DebraCohenMusic.com, and my books, DebraCohenBooks.org. Thank you very much for listening, and I hope you'll meet me again here on YouTube and Facebook. The handle on YouTube is at Jewish Rock Music, every Sunday morning at 11:30 a.m. Eastern Time. Thank you very much for listening, and I hope to see you again real soon. Soon and very soon. I was born into a strict Catholic family where I learned to flinch before a hand was even raised. I spent my childhood waiting for a punishment I didn't understand. So I ran. I traded the pews for music college and the hymnals for a rock band in Boston. My life became a spiritual journey, one that I share with you. Debra Cohen, music, books, and merch. Thanks for listening.